What's good, y'all? Man, oh man, is it a good time to be a Knicks fan. Right now, the Knicks are currently 28-17, which puts them at 4th out east, a half game over the Cleveland Cavaliers, and 2 games behind the 76ers. In case you guys didn't know, I am a huge Knicks fan. You know, obviously I got Julius Randle's jersey hanging around in the background, but I have just been having so much fun watching the Knicks recently. They are legitimately one of the hottest teams in basketball right now. They're 11-2 since the OG Anunoby trade with some very good wins. They beat the Timberwolves for OG Anunoby's debut as a Knick. Then a few games later, they blew out the 76ers on national television. And then just last night, as I'm recording this, they blew out the reigning champion Denver Nuggets at home by 38 points. Now, like I said, I am a Knicks fan, but I do pride myself at holding my bias to the side. I really don't just say, oh, since it's Knicks, they're the best. I really try my hardest to not put any bias in this. But the New York Knicks are legitimately looking like an Eastern Conference Finals team, and depending on what they do at this deadline, they could be even more than that. I want to start by talking about the Knicks' dynamic duo of Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Both of these players are primed to be All-Star reserves this season, which would be the first time the Knicks have multiple All-Stars since the 2012-2013 season, where they had Carmelo Anthony and Tyson Chandler in the All-Star game. And although the All-Star reserves have not been announced just yet, I do think that Jalen and Julius both really do deserve to be All-Stars. They're tasked to provide such a big chunk of New York's scoring. They average combined over 50 points per game out of New York's 115 total points per game. And out of the two, I want to start by talking about Jalen Brunson, who somehow has managed to take it another step up after his incredible jump last season. He's averaging a career-high points per game, assists per game, 3-point attempts, and 3-point percentage. He really is just the maestro of the Knicks offense, controlling it at all points. When he's not on the court, it gets really stagnant at times and just looks atrocious. One of the Knicks' 2 losses since getting OG was against the Orlando Magic, and Jalen Brunson missed out on this game. The Knicks had control for majority of the game, basically quarters 1 through 3, even a little bit into the 4th quarter. They had full control of this game and were winning this game. And then once it gets to that 4th quarter, you really saw the lack of presence of Jalen Brunson on the court because they just crumbled that lead away. And the thing with Jalen Brunson is he just has such a good feel for the game that he's able to control it offensively. He knows when to push the pace when the Knicks have momentum to keep it going and everything. And then he also knows when to slow it down and really, collect the offense, make sure they get a bucket when needed. The things that he's doing at just 6'1" is just insane. Shaq said it the best on TNT. He said that he hasn't seen anyone manipulate the game like Jalen Brunson is doing at his size since Allen Iverson. He operates a lot of the times in the mid-range, but he does it in certain different ways. He's able to, just slowly, methodically break down his defender, get to his spot, rise up, and shoot. Or he can use his quick first step to just get around the defender, get to that floater game right there. Also, he's not afraid to initiate contact, whether that's just, a pound dribble to, kind of get the contact, get the foul, or bump into his defender to create space and go up with it. He has some of the best post game I have ever seen out of any player under 6'5". Just the pivots, the up and unders, the pump fakes. He really, when he's in the post, his defender is at his mercy, respectfully. But what really makes him such a big threat this season is the emergence of his 3-point shooting. I mentioned before, he's averaging a career high in attempts and a career high in percentages, just shooting absolutely lights out. He's 10th in the league at pull-up 3-point percentage at a little over 40%, while being 2nd in attempts out of that top 10, only behind James Harden. Not only can he shoot pull-up threes though, at a catch and shoot, he's shooting over 45%. At corner threes, he's shooting over 51%. He is legitimately knocked down from every aspect of the court. He truthfully is one of the best scorers in the whole league. Luckily for Jalen, though, he is not out there on his own. Julius Randle is also having an incredible season for the Knicks and is a big part for their success. Despite his absolutely horrendous start, and I'm going to put emphasis on that every time I bring it up because, let's be honest, it was really some of the worst basketball I've ever seen. Julius Randle has turned around his season, and now he is shooting the highest field goal percentage he ever has as a Knick. A big reason for the uptick in efficiency for Julius is the fact that he is not settling for threes nearly as much as he did last year. Last season, he shot over 8 3-pointers per game. This season, he's dropped it all the way down to a little bit over 5 threes a game. That is definitely way more respectable for Julius. And instead of taking so many of those long step-back contested threes, he is using his strength and getting to the rim, whether that's posting up his defender, just backing him down little by little, going up for the shot, or he's using his quickness for his size to drive past and get to the rim like that as well, getting to the free throw line. And although both of New York Stars' strength is scoring the basketball, both of them average over 5 assists per game and are really working hard to use their scoring gravity to get all the other players involved around them. But let's be honest, the Knicks are not doing so well because of their offense. Their offense is cool, don't get me wrong, it's nice, but really what's putting them on the map is their defense. Especially after trading for OG Anunoby, their defense has been next level. While I was collecting stats for this video, I came across this stat where it was so mind-blowing I had to tweet it out right then and there. Here's the tweet. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at @JacobBlocks_ if you already haven't. It's in the description right now. But basically the stat is, since acquiring OG Anunoby 13 games ago, the Knicks have held their opponents under 100 points 6 out of the 13 times. In today's NBA, that is insane. Not only that though, they have held their opponents under 110 points per game in 12 out of the 13. They are playing elite level defense. And like I mentioned, a huge reason for the Knicks' uptick in defense is the acquisition of OG Anunoby, who has been an astounding plus 239 since joining the Knicks. That is by far #1 in the league across that span. By far. And you may be asking how one player can really just revolutionize a whole team's defense like this, and it's because of his versatility. OG has the perfect blend of size, length, strength, quickness. He can guard legitimately 1 through 5. I know that kind of gets thrown around for certain guys here, but OG can guard 1 through 5. Proof of this is literally in his first game as a Knick in back-to-back possessions against the Timberwolves. He went down the court guarding Anthony Edwards, forced a contested shot, he missed. Then came back down the court and guarded Karl Anthony Towns on a post-up and forced him to put up, an ugly little flip shot that was short and missed again. He can legitimately guard all of these guys, no matter what the size is, the position, whatever. A few games later, he guarded Kyrie Irving. He's guarded, Kyle Kuzma, DeMar DeRozan, Alperen Şengün. I could go on and on and on of all these different archetypes and player sizes and player, skills. He has guarded them all. And as incredible as he is as an on-ball defender, he is just as great off the ball. His defensive instincts are just really one of a kind. Whether it's intercepting a pass that was thrown cross court, or knowing when to send the double team to cause that congestion and confusion for the opposing offense. And even with bringing in his elite defensive skills, he still also has the perfect offensive skills to complement this Knicks roster. On offense, he's not anything crazy, but he gets in where he fits in and he does it to perfection. And with both Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle being such on-ball players when they're on the court, it's important that the Knicks had a good off-ball scorer like OG Anunoby. It's a big reason why I was pretty happy when we traded RJ Barrett for OG, because RJ is a on-ball scorer and the Knicks didn't really need that. They didn't have room for that. That's why we see him putting up better numbers in Toronto. With OG though, he fits like a glove in here. He's shooting a little over 39% on catch and shoot threes. When you move him to the corner, that upticks all the way up to 47% from 3. He is not just a spot-up shooter though. Since he is such a great shooter and teams have to close out so hard against him, he knows how to use his athleticism to attack those closeout, go to the basket hard. Also on off-ball cuts, he knows when to do that and go to the open space. Ever since he's come to the Knicks, it seems like he is just dunking everything. He already has 21 dunks in his 13 games. And he does have a little bit more offensive freedom when he's out there with the second unit. Usually to start the second and fourth quarter, Tibbs will have Jalen and Julius on the bench, and it'll be like OG out there running the second unit with those guys. And he will, do some dribble pull-up middies and get more of his bag going a little bit. He definitely is more strong-suited as a off-ball guy, but he's shown little flashes that he can produce for his own shot as well. It makes sense that OG had such a smooth transition to the Knicks though, because for the last 2 seasons, it seems like Leon Rose has really put a real emphasis on surrounding Jalen and Julius with great 3-and-D players. OG is arguably the pinnacle of a 3-and-D player. He has the elite 3-point shooting with the elite defense. There's not many other players that can do that. And then also when you look at the guys they already had though, guys like Josh Hart, who's, a little bit more D than 3, Dante DiVincenzo, a little bit more 3 than D, and then Quentin Grimes, who's like a mixture of both as well. You've seen this emphasis of type of archetype they want on their wings. I'll start with Donte DiVincenzo since he is the other starter with these guys. He is shooting a smoking hot 42% from 3 on the season. He is by far the Knicks' best volume shooter, unless you count Jalen Brunson as a volume shooter like that. He's second on the team in 3-point makes, 3-point attempts, and 3-point percentage, all behind Jalen Brunson. And he's really gotten a good chemistry going with Julius Randle, and obviously he's had the chemistry with Jalen Brunson being a Villanova teammate. He's got great off-ball movement. You know, he can shoot coming off of a pin down screen, you know, relocation, just catch and shoot normal. He could do it all from 3. Anytime Donte shoots a 3, I have high expectations that it's going to go in. And then also, I think he's a little bit underrated as a defender. I'm not going to sit up here and act like he's some elite defender or whatever, but he gives a whole lot of effort, and a lot of the times he comes up with good stops and good plays. And speaking of making good stops and good plays, we have his other Villanova teammate, Josh Hart, who's arguably the second best defender on the Knicks besides OG Anunoby. And a lot of Knicks fans get on Josh Hart for his 3-point shooting because, I mean, yeah, he is very streaky. You know, when he's hot, he is hot, but when he is not, it's very bad. But he impacts the game on so many other ways. I've already mentioned his defense. He is one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA, especially for his size, because he is, you know, only about like 6'5", 6'6". He just sky high grabs those rebounds, goes coast to coast. I swear he has at least one coast to coast a game. Quentin Grimes, I think, has the best balance of the 3-and-D title. You know, he is a way better shooter than Josh Hart, but not the defender like that. He's a way better defender compared to Donte DiVincenzo, but not the shooter like that. You know, he's just kind of got that even balance. And I know there's the rumors that the Knicks are shopping around Quentin Grimes, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But I really do hope the Knicks keep on to Quentin, at least just for this season, because his defensive impact is super underrated, man. You know, when he was starting with the Knicks, he would guard the best player. You know, before they put Donte DiVincenzo over there, before they traded for OG Anunoby, Quentin Grimes was their defensive stopper. And like I mentioned before, he can also knock down big 3-point shots. And I know he's technically a point guard, but the Knicks kind of use him in a 3-and-D type way. And I'm talking about Deuce McBride. Shout out to Deuce McBride, man. He finally, you know, they traded Emmanuel quickly. He got his opportunity, and he is making the absolute most of it. Since the trade, he is shooting 48% from 3 on 4 attempts per game while playing harassing defense. I know he's undersized and, you know, barely around like that 6'1", 6'2" range, but he really will clamp up. It doesn't stop there for the Knicks, though. They seem to be running a little bit of like a center academy out there, because regardless of who the starting center is, who's coming off the bench, who's getting minutes here, there, whatever, their center play has been absolutely elite the whole season. At first, the Knicks starter was Mitchell Robinson, who was having a career season before going down with an ankle injury. There are rumors that he will maybe come back later on in the season, and if the Knicks get him back, oh my god, that's going to be crazy. I don't think it's a hot take to call Mitchell Robinson the best offensive rebounder in the entire NBA. No matter what, every single time a shot goes up, he is contesting that rebound, tipping it up, tipping it this way, that way, tipping it out. He's forcing multiple players to box him out on the offensive glass. He is a wrecking ball down there. Not only that, on the defensive end too, he was averaging over a steal and a half and over a block too. Before he went down, he had a legitimate case at an all-defensive team. Luckily for the Knicks though, when Mitchell Robinson went down, Isaiah Hartenstein just went absolutely nuclear. In the 17 starts he's had since stepping up for Mitch, he's averaging 7 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a half, and a block and a half. That is absolutely insane. He just stuffs the stat sheet every single game. He's a great rebounder. He takes advantage of his scoring opportunities when he gets it. He always has at least 1 or 2 nice passes throughout the game. You know, his defense has been impeccable as well. He has really just been absolutely amazing. Everything the Knicks have asked for and then some this season. And unfortunately, a few games ago, Isaiah Hartenstein went out and he's missed a few games with an Achilles injury. He should be back somewhat soon, but in the meantime, while he was out, Precious Achiuwa and Jericho Sims both stepped up huge for the Knicks. Precious in the last 3 games, he's averaged 10 rebounds per game. And then also Jericho Sims has been playing great defense. You know, he's been ready for his opportunity, it seems. You know, he had 4 blocks against Brooklyn, and then just last night against Nikola Jokic, he had a few really good defensive possessions. Now, with me being such a big Knicks fan, I have not missed a game this season yet. I've watched every single one so far, so I really ask you to believe me when I say this. The Knicks really only have 1 hole on this roster, and with the trade deadline coming up, if they plug that hole, they could be looking very, very scary. That one big flaw that I see on this Knicks roster is their bench scoring, their bench shot creation, basically. You know, since they traded Emmanuel quickly in this OG Anunoby trade, they don't have a six-man. They don't have, you know, a ball handler that can create shots for himself or for others or any of that. Luckily for the Knicks, though, they have a stockpile of first-round picks and second-round picks, realistically. They have 4 firsts in the next 2 coming years, including both of their own picks. They have Evan Fournier in his $18 million expiring contract, which could, you know, entice certain tanking teams to bring that contract in. They free up the money. You know, we sweeten the pot with a little bit of a draft pick in there. We can make some things happen. And then, of course, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video, also Quentin Grimes, his young player self, you know, with the value that he has, there's rumors that the Knicks are shopping him around. So depending on if they add that to the trade package, they can really make some noise. Now, what I think should happen and would happen for the Knicks at the trade deadline is they pick up their phone and for the second year in a row, they call up the Portland Trail Blazers and ask about Malcolm Brogdon. What I think the trade package should be is Evan Fournier in his expiring contract and a first-round pick. Maybe 2 first-round picks, depending on the protections and which one it is. If it's the Dallas pick, if it's the Milwaukee pick, the Knicks have a whole bunch of different ones. But, you know, seeing what Terry Rozier just went for in his trade over to the Miami Heat, I feel like Terry Rozier is having a very similar season and a very similar archetype to Malcolm Brogdon out in Portland. So I feel like the packages should be very similar as well. Send him over to New York and it's A-okay. I really would hope the Knicks do not include Quentin Grimes in that package for Malcolm Brogdon. I'd rather we load up on the draft capital side of it, keep Quentin Grimes, and keep our elite 9-man rotation going. We can even open it up to 10-man at that point. But for those of you that are still watching at this point, I want to just get a little bit crazy here. Now hear me out. The Knicks go out and trade for Mikal Bridges. That trade package would be Evan Fournier's expiring contract. Quentin Grimes will be included in this. And I'm willing to give up to 4 first-round picks to the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets don't have a lot of draft capital. They're already talking about how they're going to be sellers at this trade deadline. Is Mikal included in that selling? I don't know. They could be going the other direction of trying to get off, you know, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and guys like that, and want to keep Mikal as a building block or whatever. But I definitely think before they pick up the phone for the Trailblazers, maybe just call Brooklyn and see, you know, just feel it out a bit. If they say no, we want to hold on to Mikal, pick up that phone, go get Malcolm Brogdon. And with Malcolm Brogdon on this Knicks roster for that trade package I mentioned before of Evan Fournier and draft capital, I legitimately think the Knicks could make it to the finals. You know, obviously it's going to be tough battles here, tough battles there. You know, Milwaukee's going to be tough to get by. Boston's going to be tough to get by. Even Philly or Cleveland, depending on where the matchups are. It's going to be a tough road, but I really think this Knicks team is very legit, especially when you add in that extra bench piece. Let me know what you guys think, though. Where do you see the Knicks falling? You know, where is their ceiling? Where is their floor, in your opinion? Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. In the description, there's links to all my social medias, so make sure you follow me on all those to keep up to date with me. Catch y'all.